Google held an event about 2 weeks ago that announced their new line of Pixel phones. I went ahead and ordered both offerings, the Google Pixel and their bigger version, the Google Pixel XL. It wasn't cheap. The 128GB Pixel was $750. The 128GB Pixel XL was $870, and that was before taxes. A few weeks prior, I bought the iPhone 7, 128 gigs for guess how much? $750. And the 128GB iPhone 7 Plus, $870. The exact same prices as the new Pixels I just ordered. Is that a coincidence, or is Google trying to directly compete with Apple? Either way, I will now own all 4 phones and not have enough money for next month's rent. There's always a garbage can down the alley. At least I'll have my phones. Say goodbye to the Nexus. If you're not familiar with the Nexus brand, Google has been releasing phones under this name for the last 5-6 years, since 2010. The Nexus 1 in 2010, the Nexus S later that year, then the Galaxy Nexus, Nexus 4, Nexus 5, Nexus 6, and then in late 2015, the Nexus 5X and Nexus 6P. And now we're going from Nexus to Pixel. I've owned every Nexus since the Galaxy Nexus. I wish they kept the name, but I think the change is to reflect Google's ownership under these new phones. Google says they've designed and built these phones in and out. Because this year, unlike any Nexus phone, the Pixel has now gone official using Google's G logo. So just like the iPhone has their Apple logo displayed ever so proudly on the back of their phone, Google will now have that with their iconic G on the Pixel. Honestly, I'm glad to see Google take ownership of their phones instead of saying, yeah, we made a phone, we made a Nexus, no big deal. So we've got the Pixel and we've got the Pixel XL. What I love is that both of these phones are exactly the same except for its physical display and battery size, and display resolution. What I mean by exactly the same is that the smaller version won't have less performing specs. It won't have lesser build material, it won't have lesser build quality than its bigger brother. Your real decision here is whether you want a smaller or bigger phone in hand, and this is the decision that I've been waiting for a long time. This is something that people haven't really had the chance to decide on because usually the smaller version, like the smaller physical version of a phone, is usually the lesser one. But the Pixel will be a smaller size phone that has the same performing specs as a 5.5-inch, 5.7-inch flagship phone. This was the case last year with the Nexus 5X and the Nexus 6P. The Nexus 5X had the smaller 5.2-inch display carrying a Snapdragon 808 processor, an Adreno 418 GPU, 2 gigs of RAM, and only 16 or 32 gigs of storage. On top of that, the build materials weren't as high-end as the 6P. The 6P used a 5.7-inch display, a Snapdragon 810 processor, an Adreno 430 GPU, 3 gigs of RAM, and 32, 64, and 128 gigs of storage. This year, the Pixel and Pixel XL both use a Snapdragon 821 processor, an Adreno 530 GPU, 4 gigs of RAM, both will carry the same build material and build quality, both will have 32 or 128 gigs of internal storage. Both have an 8 megapixel front camera, a 12 megapixel rear camera with an f2 aperture. The cameras on these phones are what I'm looking forward to the most. Testing picture quality, and video stabilization. And I'm guessing video stabilization should be a lot better than the Nexus 5X and the Nexus 6P. I have to note that the picture quality and video quality on the Nexus 5X and the Nexus 6P have been one of my favorites. I'm hoping the Pixel and the Pixel XL carry on that same kind of quality. Now the differences between these two phones is that the Pixel will come with a 5-inch 1080p display, the Pixel XL a 5.5-inch 1440p. The battery capacity on the Pixel comes in at 2770 mAh, the Pixel XL 3450 mAh. Unfortunately, neither the Pixel or the Pixel XL offer any kind of front-facing speakers, which is personally a bummer for me since it's something that I typically look for when I'm buying a phone. And the thing is, last year's Nexus 6P had it, and the year before that the Nexus 6, so sad to see it go. I mean, even this year, Apple included front-facing speakers on the iPhone 7 and the iPhone 7 Plus up on the earpiece here. They still have the ones at the bottom as well. So my hope is the Pixel and the Pixel XL will still have at least a decent sounding bottom-facing speaker. But I'll get mine next week, so we'll do a little testing. And by next week, I mean a couple of days, I think. The Pixel and Pixel XL will come with Android 7.1, Google's latest and greatest offering of a mobile OS. Now, my biggest concern here is the price of both of these phones. These are both expensive phones and in the exact same price range as the iPhone 7 and iPhone 7 Plus, which for me is going to mean a lot of comparisons between the two, or between the four. And while I'm glad that Google is making themselves more public in the smartphone sector, I wish they did it at a more competitive price. But I could be wrong, and maybe these phones are worth the price tag. We'll have to see. Just one final thing, I do have to point out that I hate that Verizon has exclusive rights to the Pixel, meaning that no other carrier can sell this phone, only Verizon. But you can buy this phone unlocked, which is what I did for the Pixel and the Pixel XL, so make sure that you buy it unlocked, and I'll explain why. I just feel that if Google really wanted to capture the attention of the public with this smartphone, with the Pixel and the Pixel XL, they would have sold it to all carriers, not given like exclusive rights to Verizon. You know, no personal preference influenced by money or anything like that. Now, what I'm hearing with Verizon is that if you buy a Pixel or a Pixel XL from Verizon, that when it comes to timely updates, you're not going to get it. Verizon controls the updates on the Pixels, the Pixel and the Pixel XL. Now, I don't know if that means that they are going to add their own bloatware to it, or I don't really know what they're doing. But all that means is don't buy it from Verizon. Buy it unlocked. That's the way you got to buy these phones. So whatever Verizon plans to do on the Pixel and the Pixel XL to f up the phones, that's their business. Just, I don't recommend buying it from them. Get it from the Google Store, get it unlocked. I don't even know if the other carriers are even going to carry this phone ever. Probably not. Alright, if you've actually watched this entire video and you've gotten this far, I just want to point out here that I am actually going to try something new. It's not like a permanent thing because I don't know how it's going to be. We'll just say it's experimental, but I am actually going to start live streaming on Twitch. I'm going to like play games, casually play games, or at least try to. I really suck at games. I'm not good at it, but I still find it a lot of fun, especially PC gaming, you know, like some console gaming, but I'm going to give it a shot. My name on Twitch, I'm going to leave in the description, but it's Jerome in the house, just with underscores in between it all. But you can catch me there. I'll probably put it out on Twitter when I stream, but you can look for me on Twitch if you watch Twitch. You can come in there. You know, you're probably not going to see really good gaming at all because I'm really that bad. But I'll talk in chat. We can talk about phones. I'm going to be very raw there and like unfiltered and unedited. So I'm just letting you know. All right, I'll see you guys.
I'm literally shaking. I'm so scared. It's so bad.